Are you a tenant dreaming of owning a pet, or a landlord wondering if you can still say no to a pet in your flat? The Renters' Rights Bill could be a game changer. It gives private tenants in England a formal right to request permission to keep a pet. In this video, I will explain what the bill actually changes and what landlords need to do when a request comes in. Whether you're a landlord or a tenant, it is important to learn your rights, your responsibilities, and how these new rules might impact your home or rental property. The Renters' Rights Bill promises to give private sector residential tenants in England a right to request a pet. Any tenant can obviously ask their landlord to agree to a pet already, so that might not sound like much. But the bill will make some modest changes to the law by introducing a term into tenancy agreements to the effect that a tenant may keep a pet at their dwelling house if the tenant asks to do so and the landlord consents. The landlord must not unreasonably refuse to give that consent, and the landlord must give or refuse consent in writing by a specified deadline, which is normally the 28th day after the tenant's request. If there is no restriction in the tenancy agreement preventing the tenant from keeping a pet in their property or requiring them to obtain the landlord's consent, they are free to do so. However, the vast majority of residential tenancy agreements either ban pets entirely or state that the tenant may not have a pet without the landlord's consent. The Renters' Rights Bill will get rid of absolute prohibitions on pets in tenancy agreements, meaning landlords will have to consider requests for pets by their tenants. Landlords will not be able to override the implied term introduced by the bill. Where a tenancy agreement states that something can only be done with the landlord's consent, the law already specifies that a landlord must not unreasonably refuse consent or unreasonably delay giving an answer. The Renters' Rights Bill builds on this by setting out specific timescales for the landlord to respond. The bill will introduce this term into private sector assured tenancies. It won't affect social tenancies or long leases. So how should landlords respond to pet requests? Firstly, I think they should actually consider the request. Many landlords know they prefer to let to tenants without pets, and I expect some landlords will simply refuse any request for a pet. This isn't really legal advice, it's more my life advice, but I'll say it anyway. Pets can bring enormous joy and comfort into people's lives. If you're a landlord and you've been asked to agree to a pet, try to see the big picture. Saying yes might change someone else's life for the better. Don't just look for an excuse to say no, try to find a way to say yes. Second, ask for details. Not all pets are the same, and your answer might depend on the specifics of the pet your tenant wants to have. My dog is a fully grown Labrador. He's lovely, but he might be a bit too big for some small flats. Third, check with anyone else who needs to give permission. In a flat, the landlord has to consider the terms of their own lease and the views of the freeholder. A landlord who is a leaseholder themselves will often need the consent of the freeholder to keep a pet at the property. Next, think about disabilities. A service animal is not a pet, but it's worth stressing that the Equality Act requires a landlord to make reasonable adjustments. Next, respond promptly with reasons. Landlords have to respond promptly to a tenant's request. If they don't respond at all, this might be treated as an unreasonable refusal to give consent. If the landlord is saying no, they should give reasons, and those reasons should be good ones. The reasons need to be connected to the landlord and tenant relationship. Finally, consider conditional consent. Sometimes the landlord might be willing to consent to a pet, but only on certain conditions. For assured tenancies, there are restrictions on the conditions which a landlord can impose. I've written more about this on an article published on our website. The link will be in the description. The growing popularity of pet ownership means landlords will increasingly face requests from tenants wishing to keep pets. While landlords are not obliged to allow pets in all cases, they must approach each request reasonably and fairly with a clear process in place. I expect the most significant change of the new pet rules will be cultural rather than legal, because tenants will now expect landlords to take requests for pets seriously, and they will be much more likely to challenge any refusal. At the moment, tenants can challenge a landlord's refusal to consent to a pet by bringing a claim in court. The government planned to introduce a private rented sector landlord ombudsman, and this will give tenants a new way to challenge landlords' refusal to permit a pet. It's going to be very important to consider requests for pets promptly and reasonably, and for any conditions imposed by landlords to be lawful. If you would like more information or expert guidance on any other aspect of housing law, please get in touch with our expert solicitors today on 020 7940 4060 or email us at mail@anthonygold.co.uk. Thank you for watching.